Hello, everyone. Welcome to another recording of Some Idiot Reads. I am Some Idiot. Also, my name is Cy. Um, Anyone that is actually returning from the previous run throughs that I've done on this, welcome back. And for anyone that might be new into this, I go through, I read stuff, I provide commentary. Still kind of feeling the format of the entire thing out, and getting all this together. So, this one. Now, my last couple, I've been bouncing around a little bit for the last few. I did a few episodes worth of Project 2025, which was an experience. And then the last couple of them that I did have been from the Dispatches from Appalachia by my good friend Coyote Wallace. Awesome dude, and I do have some more of those that I am going to get back to, but because reasons that I will plainly enumerate later, not right, not right now and not in this recording, but I will enumerate it. But because of reasons, I am not doing a reading of his dispatches this week. I will be doing them again, though it's probably going to wind up being a couple of weeks, a little bit-ish, roughly. Again, I'll clarify later on. But as a sort of in-between and something else that I really wanted to get done, it is amusing for me to at least note I actually have a recording in progress of me playing through the game Myst. Classic game, wonderful time of things. And this is actually intended to be a bit of a companion piece to that. I had fully intended on starting to upload the edited Myst playthrough. I have not. And that is also because reasons. Most of that reason being I am a derp ass and I forgot. That's on me. This will be going up, as much as was intended to be a companion piece to that. This is going to be going up, I'm reasonably certain, that before I actually get the Myst ones rolling out. Which is mildly funny because I think I mentioned in the Myst ones, like, oh yeah, I think I might do a recording of a companion piece, blah, blah, blah. I'll think about doing that or something like that. And, yeah. So, effectively though, what this is, the Myst franchise is, in short form, a puzzle game with a lot of strong narrative work to it. And this, what you're seeing on the screen right now, is the most recent remake of Myst, with a full 3D engine, a lot of revamping. It's really well done. Definitely check out the playthrough that I've got going of that. I've got that actually broken up into bite-sized bits. So, anyway, one thing that is present within Myst, though, at the very least in the first Myst game, are several books of additional narrative components that are not necessary as such, really, to solve the puzzles, but they are part of the immersion. And I really enjoyed them. And there's something that I think is a good element of the game as a whole to, just kind of get the overall feel. But it was something I realized was going to take some time to actually go through reading those, and I really didn't want to wind up eating up the gameplay time going through and doing those readings. And well, since I actually have other draw here of some idiot reading shit, why don't I just sit and do that? Thus, here we are. That did not sound terrible. Not. I don't know if you can hear my cat in the background. Bones is always in the background. Anyway, all right. So what I am going to do here, let's get back to the actual game. And I am going to go into the library of Myst Island over to the bookshelf. Now, many of the books here are destroyed, partially burned. There's narrative reasons for that. But what we have got here are journals of an individual by the name of Atris. Atris is a writer. with a capital W. That is a special thing within the Myst universe. And these are the journals of his expeditions into various worlds that, for simplicity's sake, we'll say he wrote into existence. The first one here, I believe, let's see. I want to say this first one is for a... So the different worlds are called ages, and usually have names associated to them. In the case of this one, I believe this is the age Channelwood. Oh, here we go. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm just going to do as I normally do. Can you tell it's a little bit late? I'm getting into this one a little late. Anyway, I'm going to just do as I normally do, and I'm going to read and add commentary as I go along. I have called this age Channelwood, and it is a very different world. Though it is exactly how I imagined it, it is still amazing to see it with my own eyes. Water covers this age as far as I can see, except for a small rocky island. Elsewhere, there are only trees, which grow directly out of the water. A myriad of thin wooden passageways are built just above the water and disappear into the forest. I assume they were built some time ago, for they appear aged. I'm eager to discover more about this land and its people, but I have arrived here late, and I must rest. I was awakened this morning by strange noises coming from the pathway adjacent to the one on which I had slept. I saw a group of monkey-like people heading in my direction. They had not seen me yet. I did not feel threatened by their presence. Their response to me was one that I would never have expected. After staring at me for a short time, they fell to their knees and began what appeared to be some sort of ceremonial worship. I tried to speak to them, but they did not understand my language. Instead, they indicated, through enthusiastic hand motions, that I was to follow them. As we walked, I began to notice the waters below us were changing colors. Slowly, subtly, they would change from deep blue to muddy orange, then from muddy orange to beautifully clear. I was so intrigued by the water, I hardly noticed that we had arrived at a ladder. Climbing the ladder led us to their village, which is about 10 meters above the water and can only be reached by rope ladders that stretch from the lower paths to the village level, approximately halfway up the grand trees. It's very interesting watching these people carry out their daily tasks. Even after watching them for hours, I did not exactly understand what they were doing. At sunset, they motioned for me to follow them. I followed the creatures to the doorway of an enormous hut. Strangely, once inside, I found that the hut appeared even larger than it had from the outside. The walls were garnished with bright metals, and in the center of the hut sat the leader of these people. At least, he appeared to be their leader, for he sat a meter off the floor in a thick throne. Guards surrounded the strong creature, who was dressed in many exotic, colorful fabrics. Next to the leader sat a very old human, at least to some extent he appears human. His hair, which was only on his face and head, was completely gray, almost white, and hung very long around his frail body. His thin head hung limply against an His thin head hung limply by an almost grotesque neck that could not hold its head up to look at me. But what a surprise! This creature could speak my language. Shortly thereafter, I was given a bed with some hand motions that looked to be telling me to go to sleep. I looked forward to learning more. Now, quick pause here. This is the... I think some of these I have read portions of in the past, but this is my first time actually sitting down dedicated reading through these. And it's really fun. I love it. I don't really think I actually have any commentary at the moment. Like, I enjoy the natural feel of this. Like, this does feel like a journal for an individual that is just exploring and who does writing who genuinely is a writer and working on capturing the descriptive elements properly. Is it elaborate? No. Like, you might say, a writer, they should be doing, more elaborate work, or you would expect more elaborate, but No, not for a journal entry like this. There's a time and a place to do more elaborate writing, and especially with, actual handwritten text, which this is, supposed to have been. You're going to, there's going to be an economy of words used that is still trying to capture things precisely and visibly. And I really enjoy that. I think they did a really great job with this. All right, continuing. As I suspected, the ancient creature is a human, but he is old beyond his own reckoning and seems almost insane. However, the tree dwellers almost revere him as a god. They're treating me now in the same fashion, which makes me feel very uncomfortable. It's almost impossible to understand this old man. His voice is feeble, but wild. He has adopted much of the language of the tree dwellers. He himself told me he had not spoken our own tongue in ages. He attempted to explain to me the history of this place. The following is my best translation, quote unquote, of what he has told me. Many years ago, the humans and the tree dwellers lived together in this place, which was then a vast island. They interacted very little. The humans dwelt on the ground, and the tree dwellers lived high above the humans. Occasionally, the island was disturbed by mysterious rumblings which happened randomly. Some sort of tectonic or volcanic action, I suspect. The sometimes slight, sometimes heavy, tremors would only last a short time. Then they would stop, allowing everything to return to normal. One day, things changed. The rumbling began and grew quickly to unprecedented levels. Soon, it became apparent that the entire island was sinking slowly into the ocean around them. Many of the humans died that day, but not before sacrificing themselves in order to stop the sinking of the island. The humans who lived through this catastrophe moved into the trees, where they gradually died out, maybe because they were unequipped for such an environment, but I am not sure. This is the story the old man communicated to me, although many details are very unclear in my mind. I'm especially confused as to how the humans saved the island from completely sinking. In fact, I doubt the accuracy of that part of the story. The island must have stopped on its own. Yet, the old man believes in the truth of the story as if he had been there, and the tree dwellers worship him, and apparently all humans, as if they were gods or heroes. The old man ended our conversation today with an event of which I will never forget. He began gripping my hands tightly, murmuring something about rest and asleep. He then said, "We had expected you to come sooner." These actions filled me with a sort of immediate dread. With much effort, he stood to his feet. I tried to help, but he pushed me away with more force than I imagined his frail body contained. The tree dwellers quietly surrounded him with very solemn faces. They then kneeled before him. He walked to each and placed his hand on their heads. All the while, he murmured words which I did not understand. Finally, he turned to me and smiled. Then he closed his eyes, walked out the door, and off the narrow path high in the trees. The tree dwellers were silent. They began a procession down the nearest rope ladder. As I was descending, I saw several of them pick up the body — he had fallen onto a lower level of walkway — and carry it away. He was laying down at the dead end of a short pier-like structure. With the use of some potion, one of the tree creatures lit the pier on fire, and I watched as the flames engulfed him. As this strange funeral proceeded, the waters around the pier changed to dull green. This morning, I awoke, finding it hard to even believe the previous evening's events. The water is a dull green for as far as I can see now. For some reason, the water no longer shifts color. As I wander throughout the pathways, the creatures watch me, curious to see what I will do next. They are constantly offering me strange objects of affection. I even found food outside the doorway to the room in which I had slept. This is a unique race of beings. I hope to learn their language soon, so that I may learn more from them. Now, visually, it's interesting to note here, there is a different color of ink used, which, with a quick skim ahead, it appears that the change in ink is a matter of, it's a longer time span, probably indicating that, I'm going to guess here, indicating that he was utilizing more locally sourced materials, and so he had different quality of ink that he was using. That's what I think is the case here. I lived on this world for 3 months, off and on, and the tree dwellers have shown great hospitality. I'm even beginning to learn bits of their language. I've decided to return home for an extended stay with my loving wife and my sons, and, hopefully, return with them. However, I'm sure Catherine will once again refuse. I think this age would be a wonderful experience for them all, and I at least look forward to how Cirrus and Achenar will react to its curious inhabitants. Catherine is staying behind, as expected. My sons have returned with me, and they enjoy this age very much. They get along very well with the tree dwellers, and are picking up their language surprisingly fast. I have no doubt that it will not be too long until they can speak with the tree dwellers much better than myself. I'm leaving tomorrow to check on the Osmoian Age. Cirrus has suggested that I allow him and his brother to stay. Though the idea unsettles me, I know the boys are growing up rapidly. The hospitality of these creatures is such that I could think of no better place to leave them alone for a short while, so I will consent to their request. I warned the boys not to take advantage of the respect the tree dwellers have for their ideas. They seem to understand my warning, and I have faith that they will follow it. Much to my dismay, upon arriving in Everdunes, I learned that Pran and her people are continuing to be menaced by the Coctic. Choctic? Not sure how to pronounce that one. But I'm guessing that's a person? I don't know. Everdunes, I don't think there's a book for Everdunes. Anyway. I fear for their survival and plan on returning to her shortly. After checking on Cirrus and Achenar, plan on returning to her shortly after checking on Cirrus and Achenar here. See the Everdunes Journal for more information. After watching Cirrus and Achenar, I see they are handling things very well, and I think I can put to rest any fears about leaving them in Channelwood again. And for a little longer time. The tree dwellers seem slightly distressed that I am leaving, but are happy that Cirrus and Achenar are staying behind again. I have been gone for over 3 days, and I have been to many different places. I had to tell Cirrus and Achenar about Pran's death today, and they were visibly shaken, although they only remembered her from their childhood. Catherine has suggested that it would be wise for Cirrus and Achenar to leave Channelwood for a while, and I have to agree. They will be returning with me when I leave again. I've told my sons that they will be returning with me in 2 days. They spent the entire night telling me of an adventure they experienced in my absence, and it was rather remarkable. It seems they constructed a boat with the creatures, and traveled some ways out into the surrounding waters. I enjoy hearing them talk excitedly of their adventures, and am reminded of my own adventures as a child. I'm trying to remember here, this as an aside. I know my own adventures as a child. In one of the Myst books, like an actual, physical book. Do I have a copy of it? I know I have a copy. No, I think it's on the other bookshelf. But the actual, there's actual Myst novels that are well worth reading as well. I feel like... Yeah, no. His own adventures as a child. Atris grew up... It's been forever since I read them. Atris grew up in a place called the Cleft. A small... I guess, chasm in the middle of a desert. It's actually the location in the Myst, in the game, in the Myst universe called Uru, which is also phenomenal. Absolutely love that. But you actually go to the Cleft in that game. He spent at least some portion of his formative years there. And then another portion with his father, who is batshit insane, and the subject of Riven, the sequel to Myst. I won't go terribly much into again, other than he is fucking nuts. But okay, so continuing. I finally understand why the tree dwellers have been giving me their many inks and insisting I write with them. Looking through some of my past entries, I see now that the inks have changed from the black I thought they were to various different colors. I have shown some of the creatures my journal, and they laughed and howled. I did not know they had such a sense of humor. Even now, as I look through this very colorful journal, I cannot help but laugh myself. Okay, so that actually got explained on its own. It's the inks they were giving. Okay, that's cute though. I like that. And again, that's a nice little touch of world building in here. Myst is honestly a masterclass in world building, in my opinion. I love it. Yes, there's plenty of things that you can learn from narrative structure in games like Mass Effect or in the Dragon Age franchise. Just like two straight off the top of my head that I absolutely love. There's plenty that you can learn for narrative development and world building from those. Also, Divinity 2 Original Sin. Chef kiss. Perfect. But Myst is one of the earliest. I mean, this game is a classic. Like, this is to, if you're like a modern metalhead, this, what is it? This is to narrative development over the years as, like frickin' classic 60s, or not 60s, like 70s Ozzy Osbourne. Was Ozzy in the 70s? Wow, I'm not acquitting myself terribly well here. It's like classic Ozzy is to Mudvayne, for example. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, Myst. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. God, I need to go back and continue playing this. Okay. We'll be returning tomorrow, so my sons are here with the creatures for the last night here. So my sons are with the creatures for the last night here. They told me they would like to come to Channelwood again, and also asked if they can visit some other ages alone. Though I will have to think over their request, I believe they have proven to me that they are trustworthy and responsible. Catherine will also have to help me decide they are ready for travel alone. For now, I must give my farewells to the creatures, for I do not know how long it will be until I visit this age again. Now, what you then see on the pages here, one moment. What you see on the pages here are schematics of of various things. You've got a drawing of one of the huts, the layout of the buildings, as well as what appears to be additions that would be good to add. A windmill, like portions of a windmill. And that actually is the end of the book. So this was the story of, the journal for Channelwood. Channelwood, if you do watch the Myst playthrough that I did, Channelwood is the one that I wound up going into in the tree. I did actually explore through that pretty decently. I know for a fact I did not actually see everything, including some of the more unpleasant things that occurred there. That will be probably in my next run through of it that I go and do. But self-plug, if you want to see it, go check it out. All right, next one we have here is, I believe this is for Stoneship? Yeah, okay. So this is the Stoneship Age, which is the one that is in the galleon that is off the docks where you first start the game. That is where the book for that one is. All right. Emmett was the first to live on the rocks. He named them the rocks because that is what they were, a group of sharp rocks clustered together in the middle of a large sea. This is where Emmett lived. He enjoyed his life. Emmett would occasionally swim to nearby rocks, as it was never too far of a distance. One day, another person appeared on the rocks, for no apparent reason to Emmett. Emmett named this new person Branch. Emmett and Branch quickly became friends, swimming and hunting for fish together often. Emmett showed Branch the simple cave in which he lived on the largest rock. Soon, Branch discovered a place where he decided to live, also on the same large rock. The sun always shone brightly in their world, and the water was always dazzlingly clear, allowing them to see almost to the deep ocean floor which surrounded them. Though the sun always shone, it was never too hot for the boys. A light breeze always came from the north and cooled the area down. One day, while Branch was swimming and having fun in the water, he noticed another boy swimming. Branch brought the new boy to Emmett to find out what to call the new boy. Emmett said the boy should be called Will. Will was soon a part of the group, and all three of the boys swam and enjoyed their perfect world. At least that is the story I was told when I arrived today on the island. Emmett, Branch, and Will were surprised to see me at first, but even before the night ended, we were all becoming good friends. I really like the feel of this one. An aside, the feel of this, I was loosely remembering it. This is one I think I did read through before, like in one of my older playthroughs of the game, not recorded. This particular age felt very much like The Lost Boys, Alice in Wonderland, that sort of a thing. And I'm glad I'm recalling that correctly. Continuing. Today, the second day on this newly created age, a strange thing happened. It was not strange to me, but the three boys did not understand what was happening. While I was relaxing under a large tree on one of the smaller rock islands, it began to rain. It was a nice rain that lasted for about an hour in the morning. I explained to the boys that the rain was not harmful, yet they obviously still feared it. Before going to sleep tonight, I told the boys that I would leave the following day. I told them that while I was gone, I would make a surprising change in their world. They didn't understand, not that I expected them to. I still do not fully understand what happened today. I was experimenting with the art, testing the limits of the rules as dictated to me by Father. I attempted to create a boat by writing it into the world. I thought everything was planned correctly, yet somehow the boat had become gripped by the rock and broken in half. Although this test did not turn out as I had hoped, I now have answers to a few of the questions my father never answered. As for the boat, I can see the boys enjoy it anyway, and with that I am pleased. They've played on it all day. Even though the boat cannot move, I have enjoyed studying from it. It is a much sturdier platform than the jagged rocks. In the course of my observations, I've learned some very interesting things regarding the solar system of this age. What then follows on the next page is a picture of a thingy that is labeled submersible lamp. And I do not remember what the hell that is. I mean, other than maybe the obvious, but I don't know. The nights are absolutely beautiful here. I have made note of and named a number of constellations that pass above me. Also during the night, I catch glimmers of light from the horizon, which I have not been able to discover. Light from the horizon, which I have not been able to discover if it is created by some natural phenomenon or by additional people on far-off islands or rocks. I should very much like to discover which. I rather suspect it's additional people, which would explain the appearance of Branch and Will. The rain today was slightly heavier than usual. Just when the boys were getting used to the light rains, a small storm arrived. They were frightened of the heavier rain, not to mention the thunder and lightning. If rain has never fallen here until recently, as the boys tell me, I would like to discover why it's falling now. Regardless, I have decided to return home for a short while. I've also been thinking of some plans for a lighthouse that I hope to construct soon. I think that perhaps by shining a bright light toward the horizon, it might prove my suspicions regarding additional inhabitants. They would be curious about the light and travel to its source, if they had the means. And on the next page, there is a picture of, in fact, a lighthouse. Rather well done, too. Like, I know I commented on this, but, like, Jesus, Atris, like, a writer, a architect. I mean, I guess the architecture kind of goes hand in hand. I forget if Atris's grandfather was a miner or if he was an architect. I forget which of the Denis guilds he was a part of. I need to go back and reread that book. I returned with many tools that I will need for the construction of the lighthouse. I've decided that once the lighthouse is completed, I will leave for some time and let the world's own imagination have control. We have worked for 3 weeks on the lighthouse now and are making great progress. The rock that we are building on seems to not be as secure as I would like. I've had to alter my plans slightly, but those alterations pose no real problem. And then what's shown here appears to be the roof of the lighthouse with how the light is set to shine. Okay. The boys are quite strong and have been helping me immensely. I estimate construction will be done within 2 days. The lighthouse is finished, and we are all proud of our creation. The boys are amazed at the structure wrought from rock with their own hands. That evening, we powered up the generator, much to the boys' dread at first, and shined a great light on the horizon for many hours. I stayed the night in the top of the lighthouse, and in the morning awoke to observe the sunrise without my being coated with the chilly blanket of ocean dew that I had become accustomed to. It was Will who first saw the girl. She was swimming not far from the boat where Will was getting ready to hunt for fish. Then Will noticed a man not far away from the girl. Emmett was very pleased to meet the additional neighbors. I feel pleased to lead this age. I've set in motion events that have nothing to do with writing or the art. They'll have a more profound impact on this world than I ever could have written. I think of it, this age, as a gift to myself, that I will wrap up and open some day in the future, only to discover that it has changed so much that it is indeed a surprise. Besides, I have yet another new age that awaits me. It seems I'm going to need some way to travel underwater in this new age, and so much planning is in order. We're going to go back one page here, which is a picture, Stoneship Age, bird's eye view, that shows what this all looks like. And that's neat. And yeah, no, that's exactly what the Stoneship Age does, in fact, look like. So, that's cool. It has been 10 years since I left this age, which I have since called the Stoneship Age. Upon returning, I cannot believe the changes that have taken place. The original 3 boys have grown into adults, and there are many new faces I do not recognize. Branch told me that it has not rained for 7 years, and the cool breezes are back again. They are all very content, and have been serving me with new foods, and showing me new materials that they have discovered. It even seems they found gold somewhere. I see it in many forms around the island. My lighthouse has been kept in perfect condition, and it looks as if they have tried their very best to keep it so. Yet I have noted the entire rock that it was built on has sunk approximately 40 or 50 centimeters. After a wonderful visit with my old friends, I wonder aloud with them what things will be like here in another 10 years. Now, what follows are the different constellations that Atris mapped out, which map to various constellations in the observatory, which I'm realizing now is the night sky in Stoneship, as well as for the puzzle that raises the actual ship. So, got an anchor, eye, snake. That's another element here that I really like. How there is, so constellations in and of themselves always had kind of like a small fascination for me of like how you can. I am not the kind of person that I think would readily discern or come up with a constellation. Once it's pointed out, I can kind of see what's being talked about. But like, I don't think they're the sort of things that I would personally come up with. Like, I wouldn't look at the sky and go, "Oh yeah, that's Orion. You can see it's here, 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 and here." My brain just doesn't work that way. Not usually. So it fascinates me to see stuff like this, where you've got like a picture of a constellation and like, oh, okay, I guess I can see that it's an anchor or an eye or a snake. Then there's a bug of some sort, a cross, an arrow, a bird, and a leaf. And again, I love the elements in this. So that was the Stoneship Age. The next one that we have here. Which was this? Okay, yeah. So the next one is the Selenitic Age. This is the one that is in the spaceship that you would have seen off to the side at the beginning of this video, or in the back area of the playthrough. Selenitic is aesthetically, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I love the feel of the Selenitic Age. Like when I get there in the course of the playthrough, I'm probably gonna gush about it. But like, I love the aesthetic feel of the place. There's something about it that is just haunting and otherworldly. Like a spaceship is genuinely the right choice for like this place. It feels familiar but also alien. Which is also, as much as I love it, it also is the one that I love the aesthetic. I hate that one the most because it is all revolving around sound, and I am a tone deaf motherfucker. But, all right. So here's his journal for Selenitic. It has been a while since I have heard only silence, and I enjoy it greatly, I think. For some reason, I do not feel altogether welcome in this new world in which I have arrived. But how could I be unwelcome in an age with no inhabitants? It is, of course, only in my head. This world is very beautiful, but I think I have yet to ever write in a journal that an age I have linked to is horrid or disgusting. From the grassy hill where I am standing, I can see green fields below, along with a few scattered forests. A rather large lake looms some distance from where I am standing, yet the water's blue can be seen plainly from here. The air is fresh, and the sky is sparkled with white clouds. It is absolutely breathtaking, and yet that strange feeling again. Perhaps it's the hot breeze that continues to blow from the north. Hotter than I would have imagined. It almost singes my skin, and I feel quite uncomfortable when it comes. I will try to ignore it. Night has almost arrived, and the sunset is spectacular. Oranges and reds have settled above the western horizon. Though night has come, the horizon still glows red long past the sunset. Dark reds flow from the horizon and blend into the black sky. Again, the feeling, and I'm beginning to believe it is not all in my mind. I must sleep now. I will need my strength to explore more tomorrow. I have had to return home due to an unpredictable natural occurrence more frightening than I have ever experienced. I was awakened by terrible shakings in the ground and explosions on all sides of me. Gigantic balls of fire were falling from the sky, and I immediately left in fear of my life. I must remember to bring a Myst linking book with me when I return, in case the one left there has been destroyed or damaged. As a note, linking books, those are what allow you to go both to an age and also then to come back here. There's a difference between a linking book and a descriptive book. The descriptive book is like the long form. The descriptive book is like the full essay, whereas a linking book is, the cliff notes, just enough to get the point across. Kind of like talking to me about half a dozen different subjects. Hey, it's kind of a joke. It's meant to be a joke. Whatever. I've returned to a different world than the one I left only 3 months ago. It's been transformed into a barren, desert land, with only gigantic craters scattered across the land to provide variety. Strangely enough, the small, grassy hill where I spent my first night remains exactly the way I found it. Apparently, the falling meteors did not hit this area, leaving an oasis in the midst of this horrible desolation. The hot wind, I remember, has turned into a rather pleasant breeze, which is at least one improvement. I fear it is the only improvement. The magnificent lake I saw on my first visit is now completely dried up. However, another lake now exists, and appears to be quite a bit larger. I assume one of the fallen meteors created this lake, due to its circular shape and the jutting rock that grows out of the center of the lake. The rest of this world seems like desert, although I will verify that statement with closer inspection. Though this world has little visual excitement to offer, it offers much to the ears. Sounds constantly flow through my ears, and I have found where a few of them originate. It seems, as Catherine says, that I do find beauty in everything. Last night, I was awakened by a horrible hissing. I was sweating, and the heat was so intense that I immediately dipped my head in a nearby stream to cool it down. The hot breezes had returned, along with a low roar from the ground. I walked a short distance to observe some red flames shooting up from the earth. Suddenly, the ground began to crack, and a huge chasm opened. The chasm continued to grow until it was far too wide to cross. Then the tumult subsided, leaving only a dull roar. I have decided, however, I can use the chasm to my advantage. Perhaps the heat from the chasm can be harnessed. What then shows here appears to be, I'm going to guess, is a water pipe for radiant chasm with heat radiating coming off of it. Yeah, I'm going to guess that is a pipe for steam. Yeah. Steam pipe. Steam power. Even as the chasm has ripped into the surface of this world, it has opened up a whole new world to explore. Although uncomfortably hot, I found it possible to reach a cave in the chasm that had been created, and have now explored deep into the crust of this planet. No phone. Quiet. I've found a vast underground cave system that will take many years to map and explore. I will also look for a safer way to reach the underground than through the chasm wall. This age seems to change on its own, so I feel I should leave again and see if things are different when I return. It is also important that I check on Cirrus and Achenar and make sure everything is going along well. When I return, I also hope to bring back some tools I will need for my plans to explore the underground. The abundance of raw materials here is beginning to amaze me. I've returned with some of the complex tools I knew I would be needing. I assumed I would have to return for more basic materials, however, it seems as though I will be able to find everything I need here. Of course, iron is abundant, but I've also found titanium occurring naturally. I'm all the more excited to begin work. Everything is set, and I look forward to tomorrow. My raw materials are all here. I think I'll be able to have most of my additions to this age completed within 1 year. I so love working with my hands, whether writing or building. I begin today on the bridge, and although it tapers off there, the ink fading away on the page. Before continuing on, I do want to comment, it's interesting for me psychologically. Atris is a fascinating character. and I appreciate him immensely. He's an individual that genuinely, he's a good soul that has gone through some pretty gnarly crap over the years. He had a abusive father who kinda without the kinda viewed himself as a god, and he had to reckon with that. He had a grandmother that raised him, who herself had a lot of guilt hanging on her shoulders for various reasons. Atris is a person that tries to care, and not even tries to care. He does care about everything. Like the sentiment expressed in this journal of Catherine's that he finds beauty everywhere. It's true. He does. There's always wonder and joy in everything that he sees. And Atris, as a character, from what I recall, is very much an individual who tries... It's the exploration. New things are what captures his attention. He enjoys writing ages not just to do art, but it's honestly, it's not even to do art. That's not why he does it. He doesn't write for the sake of writing. He writes so that he can then go explore these worlds, because he literally can. And so he wants to try and write better so that he can write a world better, and thus go explore that and compare that world to what he wrote, and then, use what he learns there to go create more worlds. But also, the worlds offer him an infinite variety of places to construct, to study, engage in science. It's an explorer's playground. And Atris, at his core, is an explorer. That is what I personally feel is what he enjoys most. In the context of Denis culture, yes, he's a writer. Like he is. I know they had a term for what the writers were, but he is a writer. But that's not what his soul is. His soul is to be an explorer, and that is simultaneously one of the most beautiful qualities of that character that I personally I adore it. I love it. But it also is the source of a lot of problems in the course of the series. As much as he loves his family, he loves his wife, he loves his sons, he cares about them very deeply, he is also unintentionally neglectful, I think, in some ways. He doesn't do a great job being a father, which, in his defense, again, his own father literally thought that he himself was a god. He didn't exactly have a solid role model in that regard. And as much as Atris meant well, he didn't do properly by his sons. It was not that good. It was not a positive set of circumstances, which will gradually be uncovered during the course of further playthroughs of Myst. And then maybe if I continue with the rest of the series. His sons, Atris's family, his sons, and then eventually his daughter. His entire family is an extraordinarily tragic story. Stretching back... Yeah, I would even say as far back as his grandfather, who was also named Atris. Starting with his grandfather, then his father, then himself, then his sons, through his daughter's life. And while there's generations of tragedy to his family, from what I recall of the end of Myst 5, there's maybe hope for it having stopped eventually. But the story, the Myst series itself is fraught with, yes, exploration and beauty and fantastical, wondrous things to see and to explore. And it calls to you to truly dive in and just start seeking everything that you can and just drinking in the wonder. I feel there's just there's a undercurrent of also needing to temper that and also recognize in the moment. Recognize the world immediately around you. Because I'm trying to think of a way to possibly try and phrase this. Because if you're just staring at the horizon and wondering what's over the next hill, there's a world right in front of you and immediately around you that you can easily lose track of and miss. I'm not even really sure how much I can you tell I'm actively thinking as I continue to process this here. I haven't actually articulated any of this before. I really feel as though like there's benefits and drawbacks to both, because if you're just focusing on what's right in front of you, then how are you going to wind up looking towards the horizon? There's I guess really more it's a matter of there's always a balance, and you should always consider balance. Think about both. There's more thought that needs to be put into this. There's your homework. Enjoy that. Let's continue with reading through this. Next page has what appears to be a compass, a little bit of faded. The magnetic idea will work well, and I have decided to... It fades off. Then what appears to be some sort of radar dish. 3 meters is not enough support for the beams, although it's somewhat... fades off there. Amazingly strong. Then there's another mostly blank page with a picture of the spaceship. Has to be one of my most prized inventions. I am extremely... Fades out. Could never have imagined it to come together quite as... Fades out. I doubt. Fades out. Could possibly work with 14 instead of 8. Fades out. Completely fatigued. I am so happy to have completed... Fade. Tomorrow. I am leaving today in order to bring back Cirrus and Achenar. I have left them alone in Channelwood. I believe they will enjoy all there is to see here. The age seems to have stabilized. I believe the meteors set off a period of volcanic activity by piercing into the shallow crust. But the tremors have become few. I just noticed that a large amount of this journal has curiously vanished from the very pages on which I wrote over the last 18 months. Fortunately, I have copied many of my construction notes in another journal. I do not understand the many mysteries of this world, but I trust I will discover logical answers to my questions. I have a feeling that many of my questions can be answered in another age to which I hope to travel soon. But, for now, I must simply accept this world's mysteries and take pride in my accomplishments. On the next page is a diagram of a piano, which is necessary for unlocking the age over in the spaceship. And that was my bane for the longest time. Because again, tone deaf. And the following is a 2-page spread of the island for the Selenitic Age, which is just beautiful even from a top down. Okay, that is it for Stoneship. And this last one is mechanical. This is the area that is in the gears over, well, the giant cogs over at the top of the hill, like directly in front of you when you load into the game. Before arriving in this age, I was determined that it would be a journey to a world very different from my previous adventures, and it was. The sky here is dark and gray, and incessantly displays flashes of lightning in the distance. I met a very old man with a long beard and hair that hangs almost to his waist. He's very feeble and has trouble even moving. This man has obviously been through many things in this strange world, and I have learned many things from him. He's told me an interesting story of this world's history. Years ago, he told me, there was a beautiful city that rose up out of the water. It housed many people inside its walls, and the people had everything they wished for. The city was surrounded by 3 high hills, which rose higher than the city. On the east hill of the city rested a large lookout post. The people of the city had constructed the post, expecting visitors to arrive from the east. The people had no means of traveling on the water, which forced them to merely wait for friend or foe. As time passed, friendly visitors brought rumors of an enemy that existed beyond the horizon. The people grew fearful, yet nothing happened. One day, the usually sunny sky became as dark as night, and black ships appeared on the horizon. The lookout post's attempts at peace were turned away, and the sentries were easily overwhelmed. The ships continued to wreak havoc on the city, apparently destroying everyone and everything. After the foundations of the city were destroyed, the city sunk deep into the ocean, and only the lookout post remained. The black ships sailed away. The man continued to say that 8 people had hidden and managed to survive through the attack. In the 9 years since the attack, 2 of the survivors had died. He also said that it was rumored that 10 years from the attack, the enemy would return and finish the destruction that they had started so long ago. I've decided, since hearing the man's story, that it would be admirable to save this civilization and stop this enemy's plan of destruction. I am excited about the adventure that awaits me, and an idea has sparked in my mind to provide the needed defense for these people. I want to comment too, like Atris, I feel from that and some of the other stuff, he did not quite get away unscathed from some of the god complex feelings, perspective that his father had. This is by no means to sit and say that Atris views himself as a god. By no means. That is reinforced again and again. But Atris, in his younger years, prior to the events of Myst, he really seems to be focused on adventure for the sake of adventure, you know? At least that's what I'm getting off of these journals and thinking about it. His heart's in the right place with this. Like, oh yeah, like there's nothing wrong with wanting to sit down and try and protect these people from something that is coming their way. But let me go back a page. It's in the way it was phrased. I've decided, since hearing the man's story, it would be admirable to save this civilization and stop this enemy's plan of destruction. On the surface, that's an okay sentiment. Like, that's an okay sentiment. That's a good sentiment. Absolutely. Stop this from happening. But there's something in the way that it's phrased that really catches me. I'm just like, you decided that this is the case? also that you are going to do this by yourself. Like, that you by yourself can actually do this. A enemy that sunk an entire city beneath the waves and leveled things. You, one dude, are going to actually do this. There's an arrogance in that. And I'm not even necessarily saying it's wrong to be placed. Like, there's a common thing that irritates the crap out of me is often when people confuse what's the phrase for this? When people confuse arrogance, when people confuse arrogance for genuinely knowing what you're doing, like arrogance for confidence. That's not to say arrogance doesn't exist, but when a person is confident in what they're doing and someone then feels insecure in relation to that other person, the person that is more insecure will label it as arrogance, even if it is not the case. Sometimes it is. It's a nuance thing. I'm not going to go into the nuance of that right here, but it's not to say that Adris can't. I don't remember exactly how this particular story plays out. It's not to say that he can't or that he doesn't, but it's that he went into this with that tone, and that could be confidence. But it's just sitting there like, I have decided it would be admirable. Something about that is just rubbing me the wrong way here, where it's like, you're thinking you're a freaking messiah, dude. That being said, he does grow out of that over the course of things when he takes some serious hits. So I'm inclined to say that's deliberately there because that's a good character arc to learn from. I don't think I'm incorrectly viewing that. If you have a disagreement on that, by all means, please engage in the comments. I would love to hear and, actually engage in a bit of debate on this one for, narrative structure. Okay. I met the remaining survivors today, and I have begun work on a plan for protection. What follows is a neat geometric design. Meh. After a short absence, I've returned to this age with my 2 sons. They have, as of yet, traveled rarely with me, and they are understandably excited to be here. They've grown considerably since Everdunes, and it's already obvious to me that they will be a great help this time, instead of the nuisance that they have been in the past. All 3 of us, along with 4 of the healthier survivors, began construction today. We are building on the old city's ruins, which will provide the perfect foundation for our fortress. Before moving further here, again, obvious to me they'll be a great help instead of the nuisance that they have been in the past. Like, that again speaks to his focus on the adventure, and they got in the way. You can... I may not be articulating this that well, but like, you're seeing what I'm talking about, right? If anyone wants to take the time to actually articulate what I'm talking about better, I would love to hear it. But like, you see it, right? Like, messianism? Messianic delusions. Innocent messianic delusions. As well as being so focused on adventure and just... okay. This is where having a script would be useful, because then I could write all that down. But that's not my MO on this fucking channel. My sons have been spending much of their spare time on the South Island, where most of my materials are stored. I'm very pleased with their intelligence, and their creativity is refreshing to see as they work on some small projects of their own. What follows then is a picture of a staircase with a bunch of arrows. It has been over 4 months now, and construction is going well. My sons love the world, except for its gray sky. They detest the gray sky, and tell me many times they wish the sky here were like the blue sky in Myst. The old man I first talked to tells me that the enemy is due in 4 months. I feel we will be ready when the time comes. The man reminds me of Emmett in many ways, and I often wonder how Emmett and his people are doing. It has been 6 months of work, and we finally have finished the fortress. It rests between the 3 hills, which are now only islands due to a rising water level that the people experienced after the attack. Okay. Inside the fortress, I have designed a most intriguing device. It makes use of a technology called holography, which I began experimenting with on my visits to Aspermere. It will be working in a couple of days after I compensate for some small miscalculations. This holographic device will enable the survivors to learn to use the fortress. Then follows his levers and that looks like a cog for rotating things around and a power chart? I don't know. The enemy is due to come soon, and I trust the fortress will prove sufficient protection for all of us. Oh, and what follows is a picture of what I'm guessing is the fortress. Well, I mean, I know it's the fortress. You're supposed to guess that it's the fortress. The black ships have come. Their attack was substantial. Their weapons have been stopped, and it appears they've turned away in defeat. I could not help but smile as I watched the boats leave. What follows is a picture, the insignia of the black ship, which looks fairly similar to the Chinese crescent. Like it bears similarities, not even the Chinese crescent, because I think it's also been used. It's been used in various different flags. It's a left-facing crescent moon with what appears to be like a the German style cross, like an X cross, not an X, like it looks like a plus sign. But the right side goes to a sharpened point, so it almost bears similarities to a dagger. Last night, we had a small celebration, and the old survivors danced their dances of old. My sons did not understand why the sky had not turned back to its original blue. The old man told them that the storms would never end until the enemy was destroyed. I assured my sons that a blue sky was not worth the risk of death, and they seemed to hear me. I've had a healthy adventure, and have begun work on a new book. Once again, I must leave the familiar age in search of a new universe I have begun. But first, I will have an extended time with Catherine, whom I miss very much. I must also return to the people of the tide. I believe in my travels I have found a substance that will ease the pain of their bone ailments that they have long endured. I hope to return to Mechanical Age one day and find the population growing and my fortress still strong. Though the sky may always be black, I am confident the people here feel a heavier darkness has been lifted from their shoulders. So, okay. This actually does a lot in my mind to illustrate various elements of Atris. There's a lot of Atris illustrated in here that is subtextually unpleasant. The fact, again, there's that messianic complex going on. The focus on the adventure, and the kind of a feeling of immortality, which again goes with that entire messianic god complex feel. Also, he took his sons here. He knew that an attack was going to be coming, and he took his sons with him. He didn't have to. There is a force in this world that leveled a city indiscriminately, murdered an entire city. And he not only thought, I can stop them, also let me bring my sons here for this. I'm not saying it was a wrong thing to bring them. Obviously, you bring allies when you can. That can make sense. But, Atris, my dude, Go back here. What else was there? I don't know. It feels like he's viewing that. He speaks of them almost as though they're infantile or like juvenile. Like I get the feeling reading this that it feels like his sons are like pubescent at this point in the course of like when this is written. And it's like, why would you like, assuming that is the case, that is what leads to my thought process here. Like, why would you bring your adolescent children to a friggin' war zone where there's known possibility of everyone dying? Unless the entire reason you did it was because you felt you would be safe and that you could get them away safely. In which case, you're doing this for the adventure. It just, there's something that feels off about it. It feels off. Also, the fact of like, the black ships came, their attack was substantial, and it stopped, and they left. And you're considering that a victory? What's to say they're not going to come back? Like, this one honestly feels really depressing to me. I'm sure given more time, I could sit down and like give a more thorough analysis of this one. This one feels very depressing to me. The mechanical age feels really, really upsettingly depressing. Now, in the previous Myst games, you could pick some of these books up, and they were all burnt. It is not actually allowing me to click on them right now. I am trying. Yes, bones. Let's see. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. There is this book. Now, this is not actually a journal. This is simply this is part of a puzzle later on, but this illustrates over the fireplace. You can interact with that to raise the mantle. And then there's a actual like puzzle, but I think literally, I forget how many are in here. I want to say there's like 100. Like it just has these iterated at random. And I'm not gonna lie, this right here is part of why I did my playthrough. No, maybe there's like 200 or 300. I did my playthrough randomizing puzzle solutions because I don't remember. I know, I knew the exact puzzle that was needed for this. I knew it by heart. But with it being randomized, it could be any one of these. And it may not even be the one that I'm remembering. So at this point, I'm just going to click my way through. Is it 300? Maybe it's 300. Clickety clackety. Almost there. If I get to 300 and it keeps going. Okay, no, 300. That's where it stops. Okay. All right. So. And then over there is a linking book. Well, that is a prison book that has Akanar. And over there is one that has Cirrus. There's a story to that will get revealed as time goes on, and that's a beautiful sight right there. But yeah. So like I said, this is my companion piece to a Myst playthrough. Again, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to actually have one of the Myst ones uploaded by the time this one goes up. I'm hoping to get this one up actually. Like right now it is 11 p.m. at the end of September. I'm hoping to get this one up 30 days past September, April, June. Okay, so I'm hoping to get this one up on October 1st, so beginning of the month. So tomorrow. And I don't think I'm going to have the Myst ones up at that point in time. I think I might start releasing those over the course of the next couple of weeks, just because I'm going to be stretching out content for some idiot reads because reasons. I also needed to build myself a little bit of time because, I want to pay someone to do some editing work, which, you know, that's nice, but also got to get the money together to do that. Anyway, though, I genuinely hope that you enjoyed spending some time with me today. This is a slightly shorter one than some of the previous ones. I honestly wasn't sure how long this would go. I'm actually a little surprised that I was able to get this much time out of it. Not the least of which is because of a couple of philosophical side pieces. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you enjoy this. There's quite a bit of different fiction that I would love to try reading and add some commentary on as I go. Several books that I really want to sit down and do some reading of and get my thoughts on, and just, you know, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Share some of the work that is out there that I enjoy and the reasons why. And maybe encourage other people. Read more stuff. Haha. Books. Jesus. But if you did enjoy this, please like and subscribe, you know, standard YouTube crap. If you have any suggestions for anything that you would like me to read or to at least touch on, feel free to toss it into the comments. I'm not going to make a guarantee that I will, but, you know, hey, it's worth it. And yeah, I think that's all I got for the moment. I'll also try and do some shorts off to the side. So anyway, all right. Okay. Let me just alt tab out of there. And OBKB. Well, I haven't figured out an appropriate outro for this. So, cold close. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is. I hope that you're doing well. Take care of yourselves. Stay hydrated. Be awesome. I gotta work on this. All right. Take care.